It's always great when technology books get on the Wall Street Journal books bestseller list, and this week there's a new book on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. It's a book by a woman called Ekaterina Walter. She works for Intel. She took a sabbatical to write the book, and it's a book about Facebook. It's entitled Think Like Zuck: The 5 Business Secrets of Facebook's Improbably Brilliant CEO. Ekaterina Walter, welcome to TechCrunch TV.
Morning, Andrew. Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, Ekaterina, before we get on to the 5 principles, why Facebook? Why did you write a book about Zuckerberg and Facebook?
It's fascinating to me that the young generation, millennials, they are how fast they grow up. And, the companies we see started by, Threadless by Jake Nickel, College Humor, Vimeo by Ricky Van Veen, Facebook by Zuckerberg, et cetera, Google. You look at this young generation and you ask, what are they doing right? No business education, right? Very, very young, just fresh out of high school. What have they done that we can learn from them? But also, I think there is a mix and a balance between that and asking yourselves, how do they work with the older generation? Like, Facebook and Zuckerberg advised or met with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and has really strong board of directors that isn't a millennial generation, just kind of seeing how he works with them as well. What is that balance that they strike and grow in such successful companies?
So, Ekaterina, I know you're not just an armchair theorist and academic. You're a senior marketing executive at Intel, and you drove Intel's social media, and particularly their Facebook presence. What did you do for Intel on Facebook?
We started about 4 or 5 years ago when we realized that the shift to digital has to happen, and we looked at prioritizing building our communities. And when we started growing communities on Facebook organically, we started seeing huge success of sort of peer-to-peer interaction, real passion behind our brand. We've seen people tag themselves on our page with the tattoos of Intel logo on their bodies, which is, that's a diehard fans. And we said, what, we have to nurture that community. So we started from nothing back, I think 2008 is when we started our Facebook page. And then now we are in over 50 countries, over 24 million fans. So we had to just kind of take those communities and take the learnings from community management we've done in early days and scale it globally across the countries, set up the tools, set up infrastructure, and help us not only engage with folks, but also grow our communities, run specific programs on the platform. It's been really successful for us.
Did you have any resistance within Intel from the old silos to Facebook?
Oh, absolutely.
And you blew them away with your 24 million people?
No, you know what? When you start, you're sort of a startup mentality. It's that whole permanent beta that mindset that's happening. No, the reality is every time you change something, people resist to it. It's nothing new. That being said, Intel is a very innovative culture. Innovation is in our DNA. So we had a great support from Nancy Baggett, VP of Marketing, our CMO, Deborah Conrad, just amazing professional and a woman. And we've really been able to, with small resources, very small team in the beginning, to grow our social presence. And now we're more and more building in social mentality into our business to become and transform to really, truly social business.
Ekaterina, let's get on to these 5 secrets.
That's right.
My producer, John, always gets annoyed when I say no one watches TechCrunch TV. So there are millions of people out there.
I do.
It will no longer be a secret. What are these 5 business secrets that define, that make Zuckerberg, in your words, such an improbably brilliant CEO?
There's nothing secretive about it, to be honest. It's common sense. That said, what we notice is if that is such a common sense, why aren't more companies adopting that sort of mindset? So Think Like Zuck is more of a philosophy to me, of a leader who's passionate, who drives with purpose, who builds excellent product and builds fantastic team around it of the right people who share that purpose, and then partner smartly. So those 5 P's are passion, purpose, product, people, and partnerships.
And very briefly, 30 seconds on each. Passion.
You have to be passionate and motivated enough to wake up every single day and say, I cannot not do it, to create something beautiful.
what do you have to have passion? Is it belief? Is it faith?
It's that thing inside of you that tells you, I have to go do this. I have to contribute. Zuckerberg is passionate about keeping the world more transparent and open and connecting people around the world. Everything he's built before Facebook is based on that mentality and that passion. And that is his purpose. That's been his North Star, his guiding light.
Well, you mentioned purpose. What's the difference between purpose and passion?
I think they're very interchangeable. So you can be passionate about something, but here's the kicker. If you're not acting on your passion and creating a person, a mission statement around the product or service that you can then offer, if you're not taking that step and turning it into a purpose in your life, you can be passionate all you want, nothing will ever happen. But actually taking your passions and taking your skill sets and partnerships and bringing it all together and saying, you know what, here's the road I'm on. Here's my purpose. This is where I want to go. And then rallying people and building a product around that purpose, that is, I think, what the true leader has to possess to be really successful. And Zuckerberg is very, very focused on his purpose, sometimes more focused than, you know, than a lot of other leaders out there. And I think that's one of the reasons he has been successful.
People, isn't that a truism? I mean, who would ever argue against people?
Success is a team sport. Everybody knows that.
But that's not a secret. Everybody knows that.
You probably know and realize a lot of things that you read in the book. However, the way that it's executed and the stories behind the execution, I think, will make you think twice about, oh, blowing off passion is a fluffy word, right?
I have to admit, I love the book. I think it's a must-read for anyone interested in Silicon Valley and startups. But I'm not convinced, actually, that Facebook has such remarkable people. I think Google does, but what's so remarkable about the people who work at Facebook?
Here's my answer to you, Andrew. Totally understand where you're coming from on this. You cannot build the company this successful if you don't have an amazing team. You know, you might have a combination of people who are not, you know, maybe the right skill set, but the reality is, if you don't have the right people on the bus and get wrong people off the bus, there's nothing will ever happen. You can't do it alone. You have to have a great team.
Give me one person at Facebook, apart from Zuckerberg and Sandberg, who you think is really remarkable.
Every single founder was.
Well, one person who's still there now.
Who's still there now?
And because people like Hughes and Moskowitz have left.
Pick any engineer that actually.
Well, give me one.
I think Sophia Chu, I believe is her name, who works on Open Graph.
Sophia Chu.
I think so.
You have Sophia Chu. You have an open invitation to come on the show. Product. Again, you know, Facebook. Is it a remarkable product? Seems a bit clunky to me.
You know what? I think the way Facebook was designed is to make sure it stays out of its own way. It was a social utility. You know, it can be clunky. You can criticize it for multiple things. There's certainly things to be improved. I cannot disagree with that. The reality is, it is a social utility that allowed people to connect more so than anything else out there. And I mean, to me, I think that's sort of a shift to more transparency and authenticity. Before Facebook started, let's talk about, you know, blogging, anonymous blogging. Let's look at MySpace. There was an opportunity for everybody to create whatever page under whatever name they wanted. Facebook brought that sort of transparency and personality. Who are you, and what's your real name, and what do you want to do, and what's your friends, the network of your friends. I think that's a big shift in changing the way we communicate online. For
Maybe
sure.
Personality should have been the sixth secret. Finally,
absolutely.
Partnerships. What's so? Firstly, why is that a secret? And secondly, what have Facebook done, or what Zuckerberg done? Right. Which reflects his genius in the creation of partnerships.
I think he brought the right people on board from the start. So Dustin never knew how, one of the co-founders never knew how to code, taught himself because he believed in Zuckerberg's passion. Zuckerberg brought him on board. There is definitely mistakes that Zuckerberg made. So when he hired Venata to be the COO, they have different purposes. They have different goals, both professionally and personally. And though he created and added tremendous value to Facebook at the time, Zuckerberg had to partner with somebody who would not only complement his skill set. So Zuckerberg, I call it the visionary and the builder. Zuckerberg is the visionary, knows where he's going, where he wants to take the company. Great at product. Not so great at operational side. He's very much, open about it and accepts that. So he brought Sandberg, who's different age, different gender, different perspective, great network, especially government connections that she brings with her, and somebody who's okay being number two and who's okay supporting his vision and totally bought into his vision. That is the model that I think is becoming more and more prevalent, sort of Zuckerberg-Sandberg duo, and being used in Silicon Valley and probably beyond.
Finally, Ekaterina, I know you didn't get the opportunity to interview Zuckerberg for this book. I'm sure he'll have read it, and I'm sure he'll be watching this. He watches everything I do. So one piece of advice from you. You're a keen Facebook watcher and admirer. Clearly, you think that we all should think like Zuck. But one piece of advice from you to Zuckerberg as he tries to build Facebook as the dominant social utility in our Web 3.0 age. What would you say to him?
I understand his purpose of making sure, and first and foremost, his users are happy. But he has to partner with brands better. These are the people who pay his way. These are the people who bring in money and revenue. So he's partnering internally very well. He's partnering with his employees. Very good leader, based on what I heard, internally. However, that said, there is better ways to partner with brands, and I'm a brand, so I speak from experience, and making sure that there is a good balance between satisfying the user needs and also satisfying the brands that are most of the time paying your way.
Well, there you have it, Mark, if you're watching. Some excellent advice from Ekaterina Walter, the author of the Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Think Like Zuck. Thank you so much, Ekaterina, for coming on the show. And next time we'll have Mark Zuckerberg on and we can have a threesome.
I would love that. Thank you for having me, Andrew.